Hello, namaskar, namaskara, namaskara, namaskar. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. Welcome to my class, The Daily Current Affairs, which is a significant set of series that we provide on a daily basis. These classes will boost your preparation for the UPSC Prelims 2024. Not only that, from the perspective of the mains examination as well, the explanation will be very significant. Now, you just have to devote 30 minutes a day, 20 to 30 minutes a day to these classes so that you can be very well versed with the current affairs, which is the most dynamic and that is why the most feared part of this particular examination. But fear no more. I will provide these classes through the form of PDF as well. So do not need to worry about making notes as well because notes will be provided through my Telegram channel that is by the name of Pooja Dwivedi UPSC. If you have any queries regarding this examination, you can also talk to me on my Instagram and follow me on Threads. Now let's move forward and talk about the various events that we have to cover. There was a practice question that I gave to you with respect to bronze idol of dancing Krishna. We will talk about that first, and whoever has answered it correctly, I will take your names by the end of the class. The Idol Wings CID of the Tamil Nadu Police has stepped up efforts to bring back a rare bronze idol of a dancing Krishna Lord that was stolen from Tamil Nadu and belongs to the Chola period. It has been traced to which of the following countries? So we have to answer it from this perspective. The correct answer to this question is option D. This idol, the bronze idol, belongs to specifically the Chola period, 12th century. And in 2005, when it was stolen, it used to be priced at 5.2 crore rupees. So let's find out about the explanation. But before that, I would like to tell you about the P2I batches that we are launching from 11th of September. These are morning batches from 8 a.m. onwards. The live classes will be made available. Other than this, you will get study material, prelims test series, mains test series, daily answer writing practice, weekly modules as well. You will also find CSAT, essay, ethics, language papers and a mains residential program as well. That means if you qualify UPSC Prelims 2024, you will be called to the StudyIQ campus to prepare for the mains examination free of additional charges. Thereafter, we will have an arduous procedure for making you well refined for the interviews as well through mock interviews. So, all this costs 70,000 only. But if you use the code PDLive, you can get it for 29,999. The batches are available in complete Hindi, complete English and complete English. English is a hybrid batch. Alright. So let's move forward with the explanation. Tamil Nadu CID police has traced the dancing Krishna idol to the USA. So what happened that Subhash Chandra Kapoor was and is an idol smuggler. He got hold of this idol from a Tamil Nadu temple. He sold it to Douglas Latchford, who is an antiquities dealer. Thereafter, it was also suggested and it is also suspected that a Nancy Wiener of the USA, she helped in all these particular process. And now the Tamil Nadu police, specifically the CID wing of it, is wanting to bring it back. Inquiries revealed that the bronze idol belongs to the 11th-12th century of the later Chola period in Tamil Nadu, and it is suspected that the idol must have been stolen by the, of course, the smuggler, the smuggler Subhash Chandra Kapoor and his accomplices from the temple in Tamil Nadu. Now it is being brought back. Hopefully it will return back to India. With respect to the smart lander for investigating moon mission of Japan, consider the following statements. It is scheduled to make a landing in 4 to 6 weeks, taking the shortest route possible. If successful, SLIM would be the smallest and the lightest spacecraft to land on the moon. And this is the first moon landing attempt being made by Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency. So what do we have to see? How many statements given above is or are correct? Now again we are returning to the era of the moon. The era of the moon is dominated by certain specific countries. USA, India, China, Russia and now Japan. And we have to keep in mind all these specific missions of the moon for our examination. Be it India's or beat any other countries. Alright, so it is scheduled to make a landing in 4 to 6 months, and here it is written weeks. UPSC loves to confuse us. It loves to send you certain mixed messages. 4 to 6 is correct, but instead of months, it has written weeks. There has been written a mention of weeks, and it will take a very unique long route. If successful, it would be the smallest and the lightest spacecraft to land on the moon. It weighs just around 200 kgs. If we compare it to Chandrayaan 3, the Chandrayaan 3 is approximately 1750 kgs. So yes, second statement is correct, first is incorrect. This is actually the first ever landing attempt on the moon which is being made by JAXA, that is the Japanese Space Agency. Earlier, there was an attempt made by the private entities of Japan. Alright, so first is incorrect, second is correct, third is also correct. Alright, so two will be correct, two only will be the correct answer. Japan moon mission takes off, landing in 4 to 6 months. This is the current news as of today. It has just occurred. And a successful landing on the moon by the SLIM spacecraft would make Japan the 5th country in the world to do so, soft landing. Of course, there are countries such as the USA, Russia, China, India, who have already soft landed on the moon. And now, if successful, Japan would be the 5th country. Alright. SLIM stands for Smart Lander for Investigating Moon. It's taking a uniquely long route. It will land in 4 to 6 months. And if successful, it will be the lightest spacecraft to do so. Lightest and the smallest, both, remember, okay? And this is the first moon landing attempt that is being made by the Japanese Space Agency. Now, UPSC can ask you that it is the first attempt made by Japan. No, it is the first attempt that is being made by JAXA. JAXA is the Japanese Space Agency, and there are other private entities. Specifically, if we talk about last year, a private entity from Japan made an attempt to land on the soft land on the moon. So if it would have been Japan, if JAXA wasn't specified over here in this particular question, here, Japan, if this would have been written just Japan, this particular statement would have been wrong, because Japanese Space Agency and Japanese private sectors, you have to remember, if Japanese private sector would have landed, then Japan would have been the 5th country if successfully they have landed. Okay, and that was another attempt. So remember, these kind of small differences, UPSC actually works with these differences only. This exam is very doable only if you know how the mindset of UPSC works. Alright, now let's move forward and talk about the next question. With respect to the India-ASEAN Summit, consider the following statements. We have to know the year of inception and where was it found. It was started in 2002 in Cambodia. It's an annual summit, that is, it is conducted on an annual basis, on an yearly basis. India never missed even one summit since its inception. So how many of the statements given above is or are correct? Alright. So right now our Prime Minister Narendra Modi has went to Jakarta, Indonesia to attend the India-ASEAN Summit as well as the East Asia Summit. I have already covered the East Asia Summit in one of my classes. This is the India-ASEAN Summit we are talking about. The India-ASEAN Summit was established in the year 2002 in Cambodia. That is correct. But if I wrote Vietnam, would this statement have been correct? No, it would have been wrong. So UPSC will also confuse you like this. It will give a certain part of the statement to be correct, the other part will be incorrect. So you have to keep in mind that you have to read the entire statement and take that entire statement as a whole. Alright, then it's an annual summit. That is definitely correct, that it is conducted on an yearly basis. Alright, then India never missed even one summit since its inception. This is also correct, that since it has been formed, India never missed it. India never even missed one summit. So 1 is correct, 2nd is correct, 3rd is also correct. All 3 will be the correct answer. This is the 43rd ASEAN summit that is happening. Already it is happening in Jakarta. And East Asia summit is also happening. And for ourselves, we have the 20th India ASEAN summit. 20th India ASEAN summit, 43rd ASEAN summit, East Asia summit, which was formulated in 2005. It was formulated in 2005. It consists of all the 10 countries of ASEAN plus 6 dialogue partners, because India is also a dialogue partner of ASEAN along with China, Australia. We also have in the East Asia summit 2 countries which are not in Asia. This is the USA and Russia. So all in all, we have 18 members for the East Asia Summit. Alright, and of course, we all know about ASEAN. I have covered in depth about ASEAN in many of my classes. So I have tried to skip it for today. For the first time, ASEAN had the maiden ASEAN Indo-Pacific Forum meeting back to back with the summit. Of course, we all know that China is becoming more assertive through its map. It is starting the cartographic offense. I am offending countries with the help of maps. So I am cartographically offending them. This is cartographic offensive. So this has also been one of the major issues for countries like India and ASEAN countries. Because the South China Sea is not only of China. It belongs to many other countries which are in its littoral region, right? So that is why it is important to assert the position by India in such summits and by ASEAN in such summits. It started in 2002 in Cambodia. The India-ASEAN annual summit process is going to complete an eventful 2-decade partnership. We started our relationship with the ASEAN in 1992 at the secretary level as sectoral dialogue partner. Later on, it was updated to a dialogue partner, and in 2022, we celebrated our 30th anniversary. Alright, there are 10 countries in ASEAN. Remember that. The secretariat is in Jakarta. It's a regional grouping of 10 countries which takes care of the economic, political and security situation. Recently, one news was also there. For this current particular year, India is the chair and the chair rotates annually. Alright, Myanmar was supposed to be a chair for the year 2026. But now ASEAN has said no. The Philippines will be the chair for the year 2026 of ASEAN. Why? Because the 5-point consensus that was spelled out by the ASEAN, it hasn't been implemented properly by Myanmar. That is why. Alright, so remember the chair of 2026, it will be Philippines. A very tricky question can be formulated. I have also formulated one question in my last DCA, that was I think yesterday's DCA, because this is yesterday's news. The relations between them have elevated to the level of comprehensive strategic partnership. Trade is also really good right now, but not at the level that we want to have it. The Indian Prime Minister's presence always underscores the continuity that ASEAN and India's relationship has for us. Since 2002, India has not missed even a single ASEAN-India summit, and this year's summit is Indian Prime Minister's 9th summit and the first one of the relations which were elevated at the CSP level. Alright, let's move forward. The bilateral trade between them was just $9 billion in 2002. Now it has crossed $150 billion. Even with Malaysia, we have started trade with our local currency. The gross cumulative two-way investment flows have also increased. For the first time, it has exceeded 100 billion US dollars for the year 2000 for the period 2022. Now, which of the following correctly stands for a grant, one time or deferred? That means it can be given all of a sudden at one time, and it can also be deferred, given in tranches or parts. Alright, provided under this scheme with the objective of making a project commercially viable. Strategic purpose funding, viability gap funding, commercial grant subsidy, special purpose vehicle. The correct answer to this question is option B, that is viability gap funding. Alright, so the government approved the scheme for viability gap funding for the development of the battery energy storage system, and it envisages the development of 4,000 megawatt. Always remember the numerals, because UPSC is also now talking about numerals are numbers. So it envisages the development of 4,000 megawatt hour of BESS projects by the year 2030-2031 with the financial support of up to 40% of the capital cost as budgetary support. Initial outlay will be 9,400 crore rupees, which includes budgetary support of 3,760 crore. Viability gap funding or grant is a grant, one time or deferred, provided under the scheme with the objective of making a project commercially viable. Alright, now consider the following statements. The electronic voting machines are neither hackable nor can work when tampered with. The EVM are a part of a secure internet connection which ensures whenever they are hacked, the Election Commission of India will stop their working. So we have to choose the correct answer using the codes. This is a purely conceptual question. UPSC loves playing with facts and concepts. That is why we always tell you that do not study just from the perspective of preliminary examination from fact perspective. Always study from concept clarity perspective and also from the perspective of your facts. Both should be included. And how is that possible? When you comprehensively prepare for this examination, you are not going to just qualify UPSC prelims, right? You have to qualify mains, you have to be a good ranker in the list. So mains oriented preparation should be there, which should be heavily indicative of your prelim success. If you are preparing for the mains examination very well, if you're doing it, you will definitely crack prelims because you'll be preparing for both prelims and mains at the same time. Okay, so electronic voting machine are neither hackable nor can work when tampered with. This is definitely correct. That is why we are using EVM so much, right? And the EVMs are connected to internet. Do you think so? No, these are standalone. First of all, they are not at all a part of any internet connection, and that is why if there is no internet connection, they cannot be hacked. They also cannot work when there is physical tampering of the chip because the chip is one time programmable and it cannot be programmed all the time. Also, physical tampering, it is not really possible because the balloting unit and the control unit, they are sent in a very random manner. They are not provided in set together, they are sent in a random manner, and that is why even if somebody wants to tamper with it, it will stop working. Okay, so they are not at all a part of the internet connection. That is why they are not hackable. If they are tampered, if the chip is programmed again, because it is just one time programmable, it will not work. So first is correct, second is not correct for that very matter. Statement 1 is correct, but second is not correct. The Election Commission of India has assured that the Supreme Court that EVMs cannot be hacked or not tampered with. Okay, and this has been an issue since the usage of the EVMs. The concept of EVMs was established in the year 1977 and the work was given to ECIL Hyderabad in order to build an electronic voting machine. It was, of course, at a later stage when Bharat Electronics Corporation was also included in that. Now, it was for the first time ever used in 1982 in Kerala, but the Supreme Court struck it down because we did not have any legal basis to use it. Then, in 1989, through the amendment of the Representation of People's Act 1951, we could legalize the usage of EVM. After that, it was used in certain legislative assemblies, elections, and also certain districts at a very initial phase in MP, Rajasthan, and Delhi. In 2004, in the Lok Sabha elections, for the first time ever, we witnessed the usage of EVM. It consists of two units, control units and balloting unit. The balloting unit consists of the names of the candidates. It can accommodate up to 16 and of course it has variants as well. And it does not need any electricity, no electricity to work. It works on battery. It also is not a part of internet connection. Also remember that. That is why it cannot be hacked. Alright, I hope you understood this part. Now, if there is some sort of issue with respect to balloting, as per the provision of Rule 49 MA of the Conduct of Election Rules, there is a provision that the presiding officer can obtain a written declaration from the voter if they claim that the vote that they have cast is incorrect. They have to give a written declaration. If the voter gives the written declaration referred under the rule 49MA, the presiding officer can permit the elector to record a test vote, and then the voting machine, of course, when he is present, and then see the paper slip that is generated. If that claim is true, the presiding officer will report quickly to the returning officer, stop further casting of votes in that voting machine, and act as per the guidelines which have been given by the returning officer. So proper rules are also there so that EVM can stand the test of all the allegations. With respect to the Durand Line, consider the following statements. It's the result of an agreement between Sir Mortimer Durand and Abdur Rahman Khan. The agreement was signed in 1893. 85% of the Durand Line follows ethnic boundaries. So what do we have to see? How many of the statements given above is or are not correct? See, I will explain it with the help of particular maps. So I'm moving forward, but I also would like to inform you about the news. The main border crossing between Pakistan and Afghanistan has been closed because the security forces on either side exchanged gunfires. And that all happened at the main post, that is Torkham border crossing. And when people heard about the firing, when people heard about these firings and they could hear the gunfires from the Khyber Pass, near the Khyber Pass road, they started fleeing. Whatever maps, if they are showing India as wrongly depicted, it is not our narrative, it is not my personal opinion, neither the opinion of StudyIQ IAS from any point of view. Alright, this is just for depiction purposes. And let's talk about the Durand Line in that regard. The Durand Line is actually, as you can see, Torkham border. I must also just tell you, we do not have any official reports as to why these gunfires were exchanged. But it is being reported unofficially that Afghanistan and Pakistan both are trying to secure border posts at those areas where both have decided that they are not going to do so. So it's a clash of optics and it is manifesting itself in that very manner. And the Durand Line is 2,640 kilometer border. It was agreed to. This is the Durand Line. And it was agreed to by the Emir of Afghanistan who went by the name of Abdur Rahman Khan. He was the Emir. And Sir Mortimer Durand. Both decided in Kabul that this will be the line between India back then. Pakistan, of course, was a part of India. So it was a line between India and Afghanistan. When Pashtuns were conquered by the British, the Pashtun tribes, then they established the Durand Line. And it is now a border between Afghanistan and Pakistan. This agreement was signed in 1893 in Kabul on November 12th specifically. So first statement is correct, second is also correct. The thing is that when this Durand Line was established, it follows the borders of rivers, valleys, and mountains. It does not follow the ethnic lines. Ethnic lines, if we talk about, then the important ethnic groups are Punjabis and Pashtuns. Most Punjabis and Pashtuns are Sunni Muslims. Punjabis are the largest group in Pakistan and Pashtuns are the largest ethnic group in Afghanistan. When this particular line, Durand Line, was brought into existence, they divided the Pashtun population of Afghanistan and Pakistan into two nations because they reside both in Afghanistan and Pakistan. So 85% of it is not on ethnic lines but the physical boundaries and geographical boundaries, geographical valleys and all that. So that makes the first statement correct, second correct, but third is not correct. We had to select the not correct one only will be the correct answer. I hope you got it. Alright, so as you can see, I have already told you with the help of the maps. We can now move forward. Consider the following statements. Interoperability is the technical compatibility that enables a payment system to be used in conjunction with other payment systems. I will explain it to you, don't worry. Interoperability of UPI with the digital rupee means all UPI QR codes are compatible with the central bank digital currency apps. So which of the statements given above is or are correct? The thing is that Interoperability is when you may have a CBDC app, that means Central Bank Digital Currency App, or E-Rupee wallet. E-Rupee is a legal tender which is regulated by the RBI, but that rupee is stored in digital form. That is it. That is all you need to know. So when you use the E-Rupee, you can make transaction, you can pay to any merchant with the help of the quick response code, that is the QR code of any app, be it PhonePe, Google Pay, Paytm. They do not need a specific QR for accepting payments for E-Rupee. So that is interoperability. First statement is correct. And second, because is I have already told you, is also correct. So both the statements are correct. So the banks are enabling the interoperability of unified payment interfaces, quick response code with their central bank digital currency or E-Rupee application. E-Rupee is the digital form of the Indian currency that we use. It is regulated by the RBI. It is a legal tender. That is why it is reliable, safe and secure. And it was envisaged by a high-level committee in 2017 as a response to the cryptocurrencies. In 2020, RBI set up a working group to make recommendations about the CBDC, and that is central bank digital currency. And later, in the later phase of 2022, the central bank launched a pilot project for the digital rupee. Now, recently, interoperability has been done. That means a QR code of any particular app can be used to make payment from your E-Rupee wallet. And the E-Rupee is held in digital wallet, which is linked to the customer's existing saving bank's account. And UPI is directly linked to the customer's account. This is the difference. The fossil of a tiny bird-like dinosaur with surprisingly long lower legs has been discovered recently in which of the following provinces of China? Shandong, Sichuan, Henan, Fujian. The correct answer to this question is option D, Fujian. Alright, and the fossil of a tiny bird-like dinosaur has been brought out. It has surprisingly long lower legs. This is the thigh and this is the leg. So it is twice the length of the thigh. That means it used to run very fast. This is one of our deductions. It has been discovered in China. This is the bird that we are talking about. It is a pheasant-like bird, and the fossil has been found in Fujian. Alright. Also, the creature would have lived during the late Jurassic period. Now, in the now Fujian Province in southeast China. And this period was 148 million to 150 million years ago. The name is Fuijianvenator prodigiosus, which means bizarre hunter from Fujian in Latin. And the creature had elongated lower legs that were twice as long as its thighs. Alright, it weighs 641 grams, size of a pheasant. Fossil that we have discovered, it has bridged the gap of evolution, how avians evolved throughout the years. It was found with the fossil of other aquatic and semi-aquatic animals. That means maybe it used to live in swamps. That is why it was found in aquatic region. And it can't be yet determined from the fossil that was it able to fly or not, because feathers are of course, feathers would be there, but now we cannot find them. Most of the birds, we find their fossil near trees like that in forested area, not in swamps. Alright. With respect to the Quad, that is Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, which of the statements is not correct? It is a formal strategic forum comprising 4 nations. 4 nations are USA, Japan, Australia and India. The 2023 summit of Quad was hosted by Australia. The primary objective is to keep the strategic sea routes in the Indo-Pacific free of any military or political influence. Shinzo Abe was the first to pitch the idea for the formation of Quad in 2007. We have to pick out the not correct statement. If you have read about the Quad very deeply and you have revised it, you have picked on certain ambiguities, then you can answer this question very well. The first statement in itself is wrong. What you must think is wrong? It is an informal strategic forum and not a formal strategic forum. It has not been formalized anywhere. It doesn't have an institution. It doesn't have a secretariat. It works as a dialogue mechanism with summits and semi-yearly summits like that. So, first statement in itself is wrong. Other 3 are correct. The government is considering inviting leaders of the Quad at the 26th January 2024 parade. We do not know it as of confirmed. Is it confirmed as of yet or not? But it is one of the things that the Indian Express has learned. So, quadrilateral security dialogue. The idea for this was pitched by the now deceased, the then representative of Japan, Shinzo Abe. And that was in 2007 when he made this idea at the sidelines of the ASEAN summit. It's an informal strategic forum comprising of 4 nations. Primary objective is to work for free, open Indo-Pacific region so that the sea lines remain free and free trade can take place. The group met for the first time in 2007 at the sidelines of the ASEAN summit. And as you can see, this was all based on the security, Asia's security perspective, which is also known as the Asia's Democratic Security Diamond. That means Japan, India, USA and Australia. They have similar looks on the maritime security, which should be democratic in nature. If we have to go back to its roots, the Malabar exercise in 1992 started between USA and India. It evolved over time and later on it was joined by countries such as Japan, Australia. So it has its roots in the Malabar exercise as well and the 2004 tsunami. When countries immediately responded to the disaster that was the tsunami, these countries were India, later on USA, Japan and Australia. So now the roots go back to these events. 2017 was the first official talks happened under the Quad. It took place in Philippines that a Quad should be formulated. Now consider the following countries: Cuba, Taiwan, Colombia, Argentina. How many of the above mentioned countries hold same-sex marriages as legal? You have to answer it correctly in the comment segment. Let me take the names of those students who have answered the last question correctly so that you can answer this as well. D, USA was the correct answer. Simran, Mandeep, Abhijit, Komal, Jayaprakash, thank you so much. You have answered it correctly. Raj Tiwari, thank you. Prabhat, Riya, correct, thank you. Harshit has answered it correctly. Robinson, Mallinath, Shantanu, no, it's actually USA Shantanu. Then read, revise, repeat. Ritu, Padmashri, Mukul, Omkar, thank you so much. Priyadarshan, Mansi, Nikhil, Abhishek, Jerin, Jacob, Kabilan, Sukant, Roman, Gaurangi. I will also try to work on what you have suggested, that I must change the slides to a little darker or little, less brighter face. I will talk to the team, okay? Then Gaurangi has also given us a lot of information. Thank you so much. My mobile phone, yes, you have answered it correctly. So please answer this question as well so that I can take your names. Thank you so much.